Stop scrolling for just a moment. The 4 US coins I'm about to reveal may look like ordinary pocket change, but one of them could be the hidden treasure collectors have been searching for generations. Today's lineup includes a Jefferson nickel, Washington quarter, Buffalo nickel, and Lincoln Wheat penny, 4 historic coins that can become highly collectible because of rare dates, mint marks, errors, and unusual varieties. Don't let one slip away. Here's today's challenge. I'm about to reveal 4 rare American coins, starting with a valuable collector favorite and ending with the most extraordinary coin on today's list. The final reveal could be the biggest surprise because of its rarity, fascinating history, and strong collector demand. If you skip ahead or leave this video too early, you'll miss the most exciting coin. Before you spend another old nickel, quarter, or penny, check your pocket change, coin jars, inherited collections, and forgotten boxes. One of these valuable Jefferson nickels, Washington quarters, Buffalo nickels, or wheat pennies could already be hiding in your home without you even realizing it. Stay with me until the very end because each coin becomes rarer, more valuable, and more exciting than the last, and the final reveal is a coin that serious collectors would love to add to their collections. After you've seen all 4 coins, let me know in the comments which coin surprised you the most and whether you've ever discovered a rare US coin in your own collection. If you enjoy uncovering hidden treasures and learning about valuable American coins like this video, subscribe to Old Penny Worth and turn on notifications so you never miss another exciting coin discovery. Now let's reveal US coin 1. The 1941 Jefferson nickel, the $18,800 coin hiding in your pocket change. What if I told you that the small 5-cent coin sitting in your pocket change, buried at the bottom of an old piggy bank, or hiding in a forgotten coffee can in your grandparents' attic could be worth nearly $20,000? Sounds impossible, right? Well, prepare to have your mind blown because today we are diving deep into one of the most deceptive, overlooked, and potentially life-changing coins in American history, the 1941 Jefferson nickel with no mint mark. And trust me, by the time you finish watching this video, you're going to want to tear apart every corner of your house looking for this treasure. But here's where things get interesting. Most people walk right past this coin without ever realizing what they're holding. In fact, millions of these coins are still out there in circulation today, waiting to be discovered by someone who knows exactly what to look for. Could that someone be you? The year is 1941. The world is teetering on the edge of chaos. World War II is raging across Europe and the Pacific, and America is about to be thrust into the greatest conflict humanity has ever known. At the Philadelphia Mint, something remarkable is happening. Over 203 million Jefferson nickels are being struck, a massive production run that would make most collectors yawn with boredom. But what they don't realize is that hidden among these millions of coins are specimens that would one day shatter auction records and send shockwaves through the numismatic community. The 1941 nickel represents the final full year of pre-war nickel production before the United States government would be forced to change the composition of these coins to save nickel for the war effort. This historical significance alone makes every 1941 nickel a tangible piece of American history, a silent witness to the moment when our nation stood at the precipice of global conflict. The designer Felix Schlag, who won a competition to create the Jefferson nickel in 1938, had no idea that his artistic vision would one day be worth a fortune. And neither did the millions of Americans who spent these coins on groceries, movie tickets, and war bonds. Now let me paint you a picture of this coin's stunning design, because understanding its artistry is the first step to recognizing its value. On the obverse, the front of the coin, you'll see the dignified profile of Thomas Jefferson, our 3rd president and the author of the Declaration of Independence. Look closely at his hair, the elegant ponytail tied at the back, the details of his collar, and the crisp lettering of the word liberty curving around the top. The date 1941 sits prominently to the right of Jefferson's portrait, and the motto "In God We Trust" appears on the left side. But here's where things get really interesting. Flip that coin over and you'll discover one of the most iconic reverse designs in American coinage. The majestic Monticello, Jefferson's beloved Virginia plantation home, stands proudly in the center with its distinctive dome and columned portico. Above the building, the words EPLURABUSUNUM arc gracefully across the top, while United States of America wraps around the rim. Below Monticello you'll find 5 cents and the all-important mint mark or the lack thereof. For our coin today, the Philadelphia Mint version has no mint mark at all, making it a no mint mark variety that most people completely overlook. This tiny detail, this complete absence of a letter, is the first clue that you might be holding something extraordinary. Most people never notice this. But wait, there's a catch. With over 203 million of these coins produced, why would anyone care about a 1941 Philadelphia nickel? In circulated condition, these coins are worth only about 35 cents to $1. Not exactly retirement money, right? Wrong, because what separates a 5-cent coin from a five-figure fortune is condition, condition, condition. An uncirculated 1941 nickel in pristine mint state condition can easily be worth $5 to $20, but push that grade higher to MS-67 or above and suddenly we're talking about serious money. However, that's just the beginning of this incredible story. What most people never realize is that the true jackpot doesn't come from the coin's condition alone. It comes from three magical words that every collector dreams of hearing. Full steps. That's right. The steps on Monticello must show complete, uninterrupted lines, a feature that is incredibly rare due to the way these coins were struck. A 1941 nickel with full steps designation is a genuine rarity that transforms a common coin into a collector's holy grail. Most people never notice this tiny detail, but it could change everything. Now let me tell you about the errors and varieties that can turn this coin into a certified fortune, because this is where things get absolutely mind-blowing. There's the 1941 proof doubled die obverse, designated FS101, which at auction sold for an astonishing $18,800. Yes, you heard that right, $18,800 for a 5-cent coin. The doubled die error occurs when the coin's design is struck twice during the minting process, creating a visible doubling effect that collectors go absolutely crazy for. Look closely at the word Liberty on the front of your coin using a magnifying glass. If you see a shadow or a second outline of the letters, you might be holding a doubled die treasure. The phrase, "In God We Trust," is another key area to examine, and on the reverse, check Monticello and 5 cents for the same doubling effect. The most dramatic examples can command $800 to $2,000 or more. Most people never notice this. But wait, there's even more to discover. The 1941 S inverted mint mark variety, designated FS503, can fetch anywhere from $70 to $300 in mint state condition. That's right, a simple mistake in how the mint mark was punched onto the die can multiply your coin's value by hundreds of times. The 1941 S large SFS501 variety is another hidden gem, worth $60 to $100 in MS66 condition, and often undervalued by dealers who don't know what they're looking at. And let's not forget the repunched mint mark errors like the 1941 DDFS501, which ranges from $125 to $550 depending on grade. What happened next shocked collectors. When a 1941 D Jefferson nickel graded MS68 full steps sold at auction for $5,400, but the most stunning sale of all, a PCGS graded MS67 full steps 1941 S nickel achieved over $10,000 at auction. These are not coins sitting in museum vaults. These are coins that could be sitting in your pocket change right now. The value may leave you speechless when you consider the full picture. Even high-quality non-full steps coins have seen strong sales around $500 in MS67 condition at major auctions. And here's the part that really gets collectors excited. Any mint state 1941 nickel graded MS67 or higher with full steps designation can be worth $2,000 to $5,000 or more. We're talking about coins that started their lives as ordinary pocket change, that were spent on candy bars and newspapers, that were tossed into jars and forgotten for decades, now commanding prices that would make most people's jaws drop. But how do you know if you have one of these treasures? First, check the reverse of your coin to the right of Monticello's image. If you see no letter, it's from Philadelphia. Second, examine the steps of Monticello under magnification. If you can see 5 or 6 complete, uninterrupted horizontal lines, you may have a full steps coin. Third, look for doubling on the lettering, especially Liberty and the mottos. Fourth, weigh your coin. It should be exactly 5 grams with a diameter of 21.2 millimeters and composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel. If anything seems off, you might have an error coin worth serious money. One of the most important warnings I can give you, machine doubling, which looks like flat shelf-like secondary images, is extremely common on 1941 nickels and adds zero value. Professional authentication by PCGS or NGC is strongly recommended for any coin you believe might be valuable. The collector demand for these coins is absolutely insane right now. Registry set specialists are constantly searching for the finest known examples to complete their collections. The 1941 D nickel is particularly challenging to find in top condition because the Denver Mint produced only 53,432,000 coins compared to Philadelphia's massive 203 million. And here's a fascinating historical detail that most people miss. No 1941 nickel contains silver. The wartime silver alloy wasn't introduced until October 1942, making these coins the last of the pure copper-nickel pre-war issues. This historical transition adds to their collectability and mystique. The 1941 proof version, of which only 18,720 were minted with their mirror-like finishes, can reach values of $27 to over $8,000. A proof coin graded PR67 by PCGS sold for $216 at auction. But the coin that truly breaks all the records. The 1941 proof DDO FS101 that sold for $18,800 at Heritage Auctions in 2013. That's a return of 376,000 times its face value. So what should you do right now? Stop everything and go check your pockets, empty your piggy banks, search through those old coffee cans in your garage, look through your grandparents' coin collections. That 1941 nickel with no mint mark that you've been ignoring for years could be worth thousands of dollars. Look for full steps on Monticello. Look for doubling on the lettering. Look for anything unusual about the coin's appearance. Every single coin has a story to tell, and yours might just be worth a fortune. If you find something promising, don't clean it, that could destroy its value. Handle it carefully by the edges, store it in a protective holder, and consider sending it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Remember, the difference between a 5-cent coin and a 5-figure payday could be as simple as a magnifying glass and a little bit of knowledge. But here's the thing, this is just the beginning of our journey together. The 1941 Jefferson nickel is only one chapter in an incredible story of hidden treasures, overlooked fortunes, and coins that could change your life. Next time we're going to uncover an even more shocking coin that most people have never even heard of, a coin so rare and so valuable that it makes the $18,800 nickel look like pocket change. We're talking about a coin that could be worth $250,000, and it could be sitting in your collection right now without you even knowing it. So make sure you're subscribed and have your notifications turned on because you do not want to miss what's coming next. Thank you for watching, and remember, the next coin you find could be the one that changes everything. Now go check your change. Picture this, you are standing in a crowded auction house. The auctioneer's gavel is raised high, the room is dead silent, and all eyes are fixed on a single coin. It's a 1985 Washington quarter, something you've probably held in your hand 1,000 times without a second thought. The auctioneer brings the gavel down and the final price echoes through the room. The number is so staggering it leaves the audience gasping. That coin, that exact coin, just sold for thousands of dollars. And here's the question that should send a chill down your spine. Could you have one sitting in your pocket change right now? Now we're diving deep into one of the most deceptive coins in American history. It looks ordinary. It feels ordinary. But hidden within millions of these seemingly common pieces are treasures that could change your financial future overnight. We are talking about the 1985 P Washington quarter. And trust me, by the time we finish this video, you are going to want to empty every coin jar, every old piggy bank, and every dusty collection you have. Because what you're about to learn might just make you a fortune. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Most people assume that if a coin was made after 1964, it's not worth anything. They think silver coins ended, and with them the dream of finding a valuable treasure in your spare change. But that is one of the biggest misconceptions in the entire world of numismatics. The 1985 P Washington quarter is a perfect example of why you should never judge a coin by its age. This coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and it carries the famous P mint mark, a small but critical detail that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. But here, where things get interesting. While the 1985 P quarter is made of a copper-nickel clad composition, meaning it has no silver content, it has still managed to capture the attention of serious collectors worldwide. Why? Because of its incredible scarcity and high grades. You see, over 775 million of these quarters were struck in Philadelphia alone. That is an astronomical number. With that many coins produced, you'd think they'd be worthless, right? That's exactly what most people think. But the truth is far more fascinating. The sheer volume of production actually makes the few that survived in pristine condition exceptionally rare. Let's break down the design of this coin, because understanding what you're looking at is the first step to discovering a fortune. The obverse, or the front of the coin, features the iconic portrait of George Washington designed by the legendary sculptor John Flanagan. Washington is facing left, his hair tied back in the classic style of the 18th century. The word Liberty arcs across the top, and the motto "In God We Trust" is inscribed to the left of Washington's neck. The date 1985 is centered at the bottom. On the reverse, you'll find a majestic heraldic eagle, clutching a bundle of arrows in one talon and an olive branch in the other, symbolizing America's readiness for war and its desire for peace. The inscriptions United States of America and quarter dollar frame the design, but it's what you don't see with the naked eye that truly matters. Now I need you to pay very close attention, because this is where the value starts to skyrocket. When you look at a 1985 P quarter, you're looking for errors. Mint errors are the golden tickets of the coin world. and the 1985p has some doozies. The most celebrated error among these quarters is the double die obverse or DDO. This happens when the die used to strike the coin is impressed with the design more than once at a slightly different angle. The result is a ghost-like doubled image on the finished coin. You will see this most clearly in the lettering of "In God We Trust," Liberty, and the date. If you look closely under magnification, each letter or number will show a distinct shelf-like second impression slightly offset from the first. This isn't a blurry image, it's a sharp, clear doubling that collectors go crazy for. A circulated DDO can fetch anywhere from $50 to $100, but an uncirculated example can command $150 to $250 or more. But wait, there's more. There's also the double die reverse or DDR. While less common than the DDO, it is equally exciting. On the reverse, the doubling is concentrated around the eagle's neck feathers, wing edges, and the inscriptions. A circulated 1985 DDR quarter is typically worth $50 to $150, and if you find one in uncirculated condition, you could be looking at $150 to $300 or more. Can you imagine finding a $300 coin in your pocket change? That is the reality for some lucky collectors. But those are just the appetizers. The main course is where things get truly mind-blowing. We are talking about mint errors that go beyond simple doubling. For instance, there are known examples of the 1985p quarter being struck on the wrong planchet. Imagine a quarter that is significantly lighter than it should be because it was struck on a nickel planchet or some other metal. These wrong planchet errors can be worth a small fortune. There are also off-center strikes, where the coin is not perfectly aligned with the dies, resulting in a design that is dramatically shifted to one side. A 1985p quarter struck 65% off-center recently sold at auction for a substantial amount. And then there is the missing clad layer error, where the outer copper nickel layer is partially or completely absent, revealing the pure copper core underneath. These coins are incredibly rare and highly sought after. What happened next shocked collectors when a 1985p quarter with a double rim strike error sold for a premium well above its face value. Most people never notice these tiny details. They see a quarter and think it's just 25 cents. But for those who know what to look for, that quarter could be a ticket to a payday. And here's a secret that most people miss. The condition of the coin, its grade, is everything. A coin that looks perfect to the naked eye might actually be worth significantly less if it has been cleaned or damaged. Collectors pay top dollar for coins that are in pristine, uncirculated condition with full mint luster. So how can you identify the valuable version of the 1985p quarter? First, you need to check that mint mark. The P is located on the obverse just to the right of Washington's ponytail. Use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. I recommend at least a 10x magnification. Look closely at the lettering. Is it sharp and clear, or is there a second ghost-like image? Check "In God We Trust" and the date. Also, examine the reverse. Look at the eagle's feathers and the inscriptions. Any signs of doubling? Next, weigh the coin. A standard 1985p quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. If it weighs significantly less, it could be a wrong planchet error. Measure the diameter. It should be 24.3 millimeters. Any deviation from these specifications could indicate a valuable mint error. Now let's talk about the auction records, because this is where the value of the 1985p quarter truly shines. While most of these coins are worth only face value, the ones in top grades have sold for astonishing prices. The PCGS Coinfax notes that in MS66 condition and higher, the 1985p quarter is very scarce. There are less than a couple of hundred examples known in MS66 condition. But it's the MS67 grade that is the real holy grail. In MS67 condition, it is one of the toughest issues in the entire Washington quarter series, even more so than many of the silver quarters struck many years earlier. There are less than a handful of MS67 examples known for the 1985p Washington quarter. And when these rare gems come to auction, the bidding wars are fierce. An NGC MS67 example sold for $171 at Great Collections. But that's just the beginning. The number one ranked MS68 example, the finest known, has a PCGS price guide value of $1,700. That same coin has been sold multiple times, with prices reaching as high as $2,437. Let that sink in. A quarter that was minted in the millions, a quarter that you could easily find in your change, is worth nearly $2,500 in the right condition. The value may leave you speechless. Collector demand for the 1985p quarter is surprisingly high. Why would collectors pay so much for a relatively modern coin? It's simple. The challenge of finding one in pristine condition is incredibly difficult. With over 775 million coins struck, the vast majority were circulated, worn down, and lost to time. Finding one that has survived in perfect, untouched condition is like finding a needle in a haystack. Serious collectors are willing to pay a premium to complete their collections with the finest examples available. The 1985 P quarter is a key date for registry sets, and collectors compete fiercely for the top spots. Now I have to warn you about common mistakes. Many people see a coin with a slight imperfection and think they have a fortune, but not all imperfections are errors. Mechanical doubling, or MD, is a common phenomenon where the design appears slightly doubled due to the die shifting during the striking process. This is not a true double die error and is worth very little. True double die errors have a distinct, shelf-like appearance with clear separation between the two images. Also, beware of counterfeits. As with any valuable coin, there are people out there trying to make a quick buck by creating fake errors. Always buy from reputable dealers and have your coins authenticated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC if you believe you have found something valuable. The hidden details most people miss are what separate the average collector from the treasure hunter. The luster of the coin, the sharpness of the strike, and the absence of contact marks are all critical factors in determining its grade and value. Look at the high points of the design, such as Washington's hair and the eagle's breast. If these areas show signs of wear, the coin is circulated and worth much less. If they are sharp and full of detail, you might have a winner. So let's talk about the mint value. In circulated condition, the 1985 P quarter is worth exactly 25 cents. That's it. But in uncirculated mint condition, the value can be around $17. An MS-65 example might sell for around $12. An MS-66 can bring $45. But it's the MS-67 and above where the price explodes. And that's just for regular strike coins without errors. Add a major error like a doubled die or an off-center strike, and you could be looking at hundreds or even thousands of dollars. We've already mentioned the MS-68 example that sold for $2,437. That is the highest known value for a regular strike 1985 P quarter. But what about the error coins? The potential is even greater. Imagine finding a 1985 P quarter with a dramatic doubled die obverse that is also in gem uncirculated condition. Such a coin could easily command a four-figure price. The value of these coins is only going to increase as more collectors enter the market, and the supply of high-grade examples remains extremely limited. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought. The 1985 P Washington quarter is a perfect example of why you should never overlook the coins in your pocket. They are not just currency, they are pieces of history, and sometimes they are pieces of hidden wealth. I want you to go check your pocket change, your coin jars, your old collections, and your inherited coin albums right now. Look for that P mint mark. Look for the doubling. Weigh your coins. You never know what you might find. The next coin you pick up could be worth thousands of dollars. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more incredible coin stories. And don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss an update. Leave a comment below and tell us, have you ever found a valuable coin in your pocket change? We'd love to hear your stories. But wait, before you go, I have something else for you. If you thought the 1985 P quarter was exciting, wait until you hear about the 1985 D quarter. It was minted in Denver, and while it has a slightly lower mintage, it also has its own set of incredible errors and varieties that have made some collectors very rich. In fact, a pristine 1985 D quarter in MS-67 plus condition sold for an astonishing $4,250. The story behind that coin is absolutely fascinating, and you won't want to miss it. So stay tuned for our next coin, where we will dive deep into the world of the 1985 D Washington quarter and uncover the secrets that could be hiding in your change right now. You won't believe what we found. See you in the next one. Picture this: you're holding a small, worn coin in your palm. It's dark, maybe a little dirty, the details faded by decades of handling. It looks like nothing special, just an old nickel that someone probably spent at a candy store back when your grandparents were kids. But here's where things get interesting. That seemingly ordinary piece of metal could be worth more than a brand new car. It could be worth a life-changing sum of money. And right now, there are thousands of these coins sitting in jars, old collections, and forgotten drawers across America, waiting to be discovered. What if you're the one holding a hidden fortune? The coin I'm talking about is the 1929 D Buffalo nickel. And before you scroll past thinking you don't have one, let me stop you right there. Over 8.3 million of these were struck at the Denver Mint. That's a lot of coins. Many of them are still out there. And while most are worth just a few dollars, a tiny fraction, the ones in exceptional condition or with rare minting errors, have sold for prices that will absolutely blow your mind. The Buffalo nickel, also called the Indian head nickel, was designed by James Earl Fraser and minted from 1913 to 1938. It's one of the most beloved coin designs in American history. The obverse, or head side, features a striking portrait of a Native American chief, rugged, noble, powerful. The word liberty arcs around the top from the 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock position. The date sits on the lower left of the chieftain's bust. And on the reverse, or tails side, stands a magnificent American bison, the famous black diamond. The words United States of America curve along the top with the motto EPLURIBUSUNUM just below. At the bottom, 5 cents is spelled out in full. This is the Type 2 design where the denomination sits in a recessed area to protect it from wear. It's a masterpiece of numismatic art. But what makes the 1929 D so special? It's all about condition. The Denver Mint produced 8,370,000 of these nickels. That's a healthy mintage. But here's the catch, the Denver Mint had serious quality control issues in 1929. The strikes were often soft, meaning the dies didn't fully impress the design onto the planchets. Many coins came out of the mint with visible flaws, marks, planchet imperfections, weak details. And the luster, while often frosty and iridescent, could be inconsistent. This combination of poor strikes and surface imperfections means that truly beautiful high-grade examples are incredibly rare. Most people never notice this, but the difference between a worn 1929 D and a pristine one can be the difference between pocket change and a down payment on a house. Let's talk about what you should be looking for. First, find the mint mark. On the reverse of the coin, look below the words 5 cents near the rim. You'll see either nothing, that means it was minted in Philadelphia, an S, San Francisco, or a D, Denver. The 1929 D is actually the most common of the 3 varieties in lower grades, but in higher grades it's the rarest buffalo nickel from 1929 to 1938. According to PCGS, only about 350 examples survive in MS65 or better condition. Think about that, out of 8.37 million coins, only 350 are truly gem quality. That's a survival rate of 0.004%. Your odds of finding one are slim, but they're not zero. Now here's where things get really exciting. There are varieties and errors that can multiply the value of your 1929 D buffalo nickel many times over. One of the most interesting is the repunched mint mark variety. The Denver Mint occasionally struck the D mint mark multiple times, creating a noticeable overlapping effect. Some examples show clear evidence of this repunching, and collectors pay a premium for these. There's also the possibility of doubled die varieties. On the 1929 Philadelphia and San Francisco issues, Class V doubled dies are known to exist. And numismatists believe similar varieties may exist for the 1929 D as well. Look closely at the forehead and the word Liberty. If you see doubling there, you might have something special. But wait, there's another detail most people miss. The 3-legged buffalo nickel is famous, but that's a 1937 D error. The 3.5-legged variety is associated with 1936 D. These aren't your coin. However, the 1929 D has its own hidden quirks. Some examples show die polishing that removed part of the design like a leg or a feather. These are die errors, not varieties, and they can be incredibly valuable. As one expert noted, polishing dies that became heavily worn often resulted in the elimination of shallow design elements, such as the third feather. If your 1929 D has a missing or partially missing feature, you could be looking at a major payday. So what's this coin actually worth? Let's start with the lower end. In average circulated condition, think good to fine grades, your 1929 D buffalo nickel is worth somewhere between $1 and $36. That's not going to change your life, but as the condition improves, the value climbs rapidly. In very fine condition, it's worth about $16. In extremely fine, around $45. In about uncirculated, about $62. Once you hit mint state grades, things get serious. MS61 examples sell for around $105. MS63 brings about $175. MS65 can command $1,000 or more, and here's where the value may leave you speechless. An MS66 Plus example sold at auction for an astonishing $15,275. That's right. A single nickel, 5 cents face value, sold for over $15,000, and there are even higher grades known to exist. MS67 Plus examples have been certified by NGC and PCGS. Imagine what one of those could fetch at auction today. Collector demand for the 1929 D is intense. According to PCGS co-founder David Hall, the 1929 D is the rarest 1929 to 1938 buffalo nickel in mint state and gem condition. Serious collectors building high-quality sets are constantly searching for this coin in top grades. The competition is fierce, and when a gem-quality example appears at auction, bidders come from all over the world. The combination of its place as the key date in the later Buffalo Nickel series and its relative scarcity makes it a must-have for any serious numismatist. But here's the most important part. You could have one of these coins sitting in your house right now and not even know it. Millions of Buffalo Nickels were saved by collectors over the years. They're in old coin albums, cigar boxes, coffee cans, and granddad's dresser drawer. They're in the change you've been ignoring in that jar on your nightstand. They're in bank rolls you bought years ago and never opened. The 1929 D is common enough that you might actually find one. But it's rare enough in top condition that if you do, and if it's beautiful, you could be holding a small fortune. Let me give you a quick checklist. 1. Look at the reverse. Find the mint mark below 5 cents. If you see a D, you're on the right track. 2. Examine the condition. Is the design sharp? Can you see the individual hairs on the Indian's braid? Is the buffalo's horn fully detailed? 3. Check for errors. Look for doubling on the date or liberty. Look for repunching on the mint mark. Look for missing design elements. 4. If you think you have something special, do not clean it. Cleaning a coin can destroy its value. Handle it by the edges, put it in a protective holder, and consider getting it professionally graded by PCGS or NGC. That step alone can turn a $100 coin into a $1,000 coin. The stories of people discovering valuable coins are real. Someone finds a rare coin in an old collection, takes it to a dealer, and walks out with a check that changes everything. It could happen to you. It could happen today. The 1929 D Buffalo nickel is out there waiting to be found. And when you find it, remember this video. Remember what I told you. And know that you're holding a piece of American history that's worth far more than 5 cents. Now here's the part that will really get your heart racing. We've talked about the $15,275 MS-66 Plus example. But what about the coins graded even higher? What about the MS-67 examples that are so rare that they've almost never appeared at public auction? What would a collector pay for the finest known 1929 D Buffalo nickel? Some experts believe that with the right bidding war, a top-tier example could fetch $30,000 or more. And that's not even considering the possibility of undiscovered error varieties. What if your coin has a doubled die that hasn't been cataloged yet? What if it's a unique specimen, the only one of its kind? The value could be virtually limitless. But before you rush off to check your collection, let me leave you with this thought. The 1929 D Buffalo nickel is just one coin in a series filled with treasures. There are other dates, other mint marks, other errors that are even rarer and even more valuable. The 1918 7D overdate, the 1924 S, the 1937 D three-legged. These are coins that have sold for tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars. And they're out there too, hiding in plain sight. Which brings us to our next coin, a Buffalo nickel so rare, so elusive that most collectors will never see one in their lifetime. A coin with a minting error so dramatic that it changed the way the United States Mint operated. A coin that, if you find it in your collection, could be worth more than most people make in a year. And believe me, the story behind it is unlike anything you've ever heard. Now go check those coins. That 1929 D Buffalo nickel might be waiting for you. And remember, sometimes the most valuable treasures are the ones you've had all along. Next up. What if I told you that right now, sitting in your pocket, hiding in that dusty jar on your shelf, or buried in that old coffee can your grandfather left behind, there could be a coin worth not hundreds, not thousands, but potentially tens of thousands of dollars. And what if I told you that this coin looks exactly like every other penny you've ever ignored your entire life? Now we're diving deep into the 1956 Lincoln Wheat Penny with no mint mark, a coin that over 420 million were made of, yet somehow, a select few are worth life-changing money. You are about to discover why this seemingly ordinary penny could be your ticket to a financial windfall, and why collectors are hunting for it like treasure seekers in a modern-day gold rush. Stay with me until the very end, because what I'm about to reveal about this coin's hidden value might just leave you speechless. Coin introduction. The year is 1956. Dwight D. Eisenhower is in the White House, Elvis Presley is shaking up the music world, and the United States Mint in Philadelphia is working overtime, pumping out hundreds of millions of Lincoln Wheat cents. The Philadelphia Mint, which back then didn't put a mint mark on their coins, produced a staggering 420,745,000 of these copper beauties. That's right, over 420 million pennies, all without a single mint mark to tell you where they came from. And here's where things get interesting. Most people assume that because so many were made, they must all be worthless. But that assumption could cost you a fortune. You see, within that massive sea of common coins, there are hidden gems, error coins, pristine specimens, and varieties that collectors are paying astronomical sums to own. The 1956 wheat penny is part of the legendary Lincoln Wheat Cent series, which was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. Designed by the brilliant Victor David Brenner, it was the first regular-issue U.S. coin to feature a real person's portrait. And that portrait, combined with the iconic wheat stalks on the reverse, makes this coin a piece of American history that collectors simply cannot resist. Design features. Let me paint you a picture of what this coin actually looks like, because the details matter more than you might think. On the obverse or the front of the coin, you'll see the dignified profile of Abraham Lincoln facing right. The word Liberty arcs gracefully above his head, and the date 1956 sits proudly to his right. Above that, you'll find the phrase, "In God We Trust." Now flip the coin over, and you're greeted by the reverse design that gives this series its nickname, two elegant stalks of Durham wheat, each with 9 distinct kernels, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. The Latin phrase EPLURIBUSUNUM arches across the top. This design ran from 1909 all the way until 1958, when it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design. The coin measures 19 millimeters in diameter and weighs exactly 3.11 grams. It's composed of 95% copper, with the remaining 5% being a mix of tin and zinc. And here's a crucial detail that most people never notice. The edge of the coin is plain with no reading or grooves. If you're holding a 1956 penny right now, take a close look at the area just below the date. Do you see any letter? If you don't, that means your coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. But if you see a D, that means it came from Denver. And that tiny detail could be the difference between a coin worth a few cents and one worth a small fortune. Rare ERORS and VARETIS. Now this is where the magic happens. Most 1956 pennies without a mint mark are worth somewhere between 1 and 5 cents in circulated condition. But what happened next shocked collectors around the world. Certain 1956 wheat pennies contain minting errors that make them incredibly valuable. The most sought after of these is the doubled die obverse error, or DDO. This mistake occurred during the die production process when the hub struck the die twice with a slight misalignment. The result? A ghostly doubling effect on the design elements, most noticeably on the word liberty, the phrase "in God we trust," and the date numerals. Under magnification, you'll see raised, shelf-like doubling that appears three-dimensional. And here's the kicker: minor DDO examples can sell for $50 to $100 in circulated grades, while dramatic doubling in mint state condition can fetch $500 to $1,500. But wait, there's more. A proof version of the 1956 doubled die obverse in PR68 red condition sold at auction for an astounding $1,187. And a PR66 red example brought $360 in 2021. This tiny detail could change everything for whoever finds one. But the errors don't stop there. The 1956 doubled die reverse error, or DDR, affects the back of the coin with its iconic wheat stalks. This variety occurs less frequently than obverse doubling, making it even more desirable to specialists. When the reverse hub impressed the die twice at different angles, doubling appeared on the wheat design. Verified DDR specimens typically trade between $25 and $325, depending on the clarity of the doubling and the coin's overall condition. A PR68 red DDR even reached $995 at auction. And then there's the elusive 1956 D repunched mint mark error, or RPM. Before automation, mint workers had to hand punch the D mint mark onto each working die. Sometimes the first punch wasn't strong enough or landed slightly off target, so they punched it again. The result is a ghostly shadow D lurking beneath or beside the primary mint mark. One of the most famous is the D above shadow D variety, where you can clearly see a secondary D fully under the primary one. These RPM errors can be worth anywhere from a few dollars to several hundred, with mint state examples bringing $43 to $92 or more. But here's something most people completely overlook. The 1956 penny also suffers from off-center strikes, clip planchets, die cracks, and even wrong planchet errors. An off-center strike can be worth anywhere from $10 to $500 or more, depending on how dramatic the misalignment is. A clipped planchet error, where the coin was struck on an incomplete blank, can fetch at least $50 and sometimes much more. And if you somehow find a 1956 penny struck on a dime planchet, that wrong planchet error could be worth thousands. The value may leave you speechless when you realize what could be hiding in plain sight. How to identify valuable examples. So how do you know if your 1956 penny is one of the valuable ones? First, grab a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. At least 10x magnification is ideal. Look closely at the word Liberty. Do you see any doubling, any extra thickness, any ghostly shadows on the letters? That's your first clue. Next, examine the date. Are the numbers crisp and clear, or do they show signs of doubling? Then check "In God we trust" and the wheat stalks on the reverse. But be careful, what looks like doubling could actually be machine doubling, which appears flat and shelf-like without the rounded separation of true hub doubling. True double dies show consistent doubling across multiple design elements. And remember, the condition of your coin is everything. Coins designated as red by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, meaning they've preserved their original red copper color without tunning or oxidation, command a premium, especially in mint state 66 or higher. A coin in MS67 red condition is where the population really thins out, making it incredibly rare and valuable. Auction records and prices. Now let's talk about the numbers that will make your heart race. While most circulated 1956 pennies are worth just a few cents, the high-grade specimens tell a completely different story. A 1956 Lincoln cent in MS67 red condition has a wholesale bid of around $390, but that's just the beginning. Some sources report that a 1956 MS67 plus red penny sold for an astonishing $57,600. That's right, nearly $60,000 for a single penny. And a 1956 D MS67 plus red penny brought $18,000. The proof versions of this coin are equally impressive. With only 669,384 proof coins minted in 1956, they're significantly rarer than their business strike counterparts. A 1956 proof Lincoln cent and PF68 red sold for $671 at a recent Heritage auction sale, and a PF67 red Ultra Cameo example brought $536.80. The average price for a 1956 proof cent at auction is around $315, but top-tier examples can fetch significantly more. And if you're lucky enough to find a 1956 proof with strong cameo details, collectors and dealers will pay robust premiums for those pieces. The value of these coins has been steadily climbing, and the demand shows no signs of slowing down. Collector demand. Why are collectors so obsessed with this particular coin? For starters, the Lincoln Wheat Cent series is one of the most beloved in American numismatics. It represents a bygone era, a time when coins were made of copper, when designs were crafted by hand, and when every penny told a story. The 1956 penny sits at a fascinating crossroads in history. It's late enough in the series to be relatively common, yet early enough to carry the weight of post-war America. Collectors love the challenge of finding high-grade examples, especially those with original red luster that have survived decades without tunning. And the era varieties. They're like hidden treasures, tiny mistakes that turned ordinary coins into extraordinary collectibles. Every collector dreams of being the one to pull a valuable error from a bankroll or a jar of loose change. The thrill of the hunt is real, and the 1956 penny offers plenty of opportunities for discovery. Hidden details most people miss. Most people never notice this, but there's something fascinating about the 1956 penny's minting process. The dies used to strike these coins were often overused, leading to die cracks, die chips, and other imperfections that actually add value. One of the most famous is the BIE error, a small die crack between the letters B and E in Liberty that resembles the letters BIE. While some collectors consider this a minor anomaly worth only $1 to $20, it's still a fun and easy-to-spot variety that adds character to any collection. Another hidden detail, the shadow D error on Denver minted coins. If you look closely at the mint mark on a 1956 D penny, you might see a faint secondary D lurking beneath the primary one. This RPM error is a testament to the manual processes used at the Denver Mint in 1956, and it's a detail that most people overlook entirely. The value may leave you speechless when you realize how many of these hidden treasures are still out there, waiting to be discovered. Mint value. Let's talk about what these coins are actually worth in today's market. A typical circulated 1956 penny with no mint mark is worth about 3 to 5 cents. In uncirculated condition, that price jumps to between 20 cents and $5. A proof 1956 Lincoln cent is worth $3 and up, but here's where the numbers get really interesting. According to the USA Coin Book, a 1956 Lincoln Wheat Penny is worth about 6 cents in average condition, but can be worth 43 cents to $1.24 or more in uncirculated mint condition. Proof coins can be worth $7.29 or more, but remember, those are just the baseline values. When you add errors, high grades, and original red color into the mix, the numbers skyrocket. The Graysheet catalog lists values for 1956 Lincoln cents ranging from 6 cents all the way up to an incredible $28,000. That's the kind of range that makes collectors' hearts skip a beat. HIGHST known value reveal. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. What is the absolute highest known value for a 1956 Lincoln Wheat Penny with no mint mark? Prepare yourself, because the answer is nothing short of astonishing. While many sources quote values in the hundreds or thousands, some of the finest known specimens have sold for truly life-changing money. A 1956 MS67 Plus red penny was reported to have sold for an incredible $57,600. Let that sink in for a moment. A single penny minted in 1956 worth nearly $60,000. That's enough to buy a new car, pay off a year's worth of student loans, or take the vacation of a lifetime. And it all comes down to a few key factors: pristine condition, original red color, and a grade that's almost impossible to achieve. The population of coins in MS67 or higher is incredibly thin, making these specimens the crown jewels of the Lincoln Wheat Cent series. If you have a 1956 penny in your possession right now, you owe it to yourself to examine it carefully. You might just be holding a coin worth more than you ever imagined. Viewer call to action. So here's what I want you to do right now. Stop everything. Go grab that jar of loose change on your dresser. Empty out that old coffee can in your closet. Open up that inherited coin album from your grandparents. Look through every single penny you can find and pay special attention to the dates. If you find a 1956 penny with no mint mark, examine it under a magnifying glass. Check for doubling on Liberty and the date. Look for ghostly shadows on the wheat stalks. Check the edge for any signs of an off-cent or strike. And whatever you do, never clean your coins. Cleaning them only diminishes their value. If you think you found something special, consider having it professionally graded by PCGS or NGC. These are the two top coin grading services in the world, and their certification can add significant value to your discovery. Remember, the coin you're about to overlook could be the one that changes everything. Don't let this opportunity pass you by. But wait, before you run off to check your change, I need to tell you something that might blow your mind. The 1956 penny isn't the only hidden treasure lurking in your pocket change. There's another coin from the same era with a similar design that has been known to sell for even more, some say up to $100,000 or more. This coin has a mistake so obvious that you can see it with the naked eye, yet most people still walk right past it. It's a coin that collectors have been hunting for decades, and every single year new examples are discovered in the most unexpected places. What is this mysterious coin, and how can you tell if you have one? That's exactly what we're going to uncover in our next video. You won't want to miss it. Subscribe now and hit that notification bell, because the next coin we reveal could be the one that changes your life forever.